Tonight's DJNTV show is sponsored in part by Electro Voice, DJ Event Planner, ADJ, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, Newmark, and DJNTV Insiders.
Hi, this is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Thank you for joining us tonight out on Facebook and out there on YouTube. For tonight's show, we've got...
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to DJNTV. Tonight, we've got the New School DJ Hangout with me, DJ Rick Webb, and DJ Barr. What's going on, guys?
What's happening?
What is good?
So tonight we discussed it. We are going to start with how we started our channels and why we started our YouTube channels, because the three of us are known in the YouTube world for doing whatever gig logs and product reviews and stuff like that. So we figured it would be interesting to tell the viewers a little bit of our background. So DJ Rick Webb, you want to start it?
Sure thing. So for people that are unfamiliar with me, DJ Rick Webb, otherwise known as Rick Webber. Let's see, DJ background. So I started when I was a freshman in high school, picking up DJing, and moved into being a professional DJ shortly after, about 2 years after. Been doing DJing now for 8 years total, probably about 5 professionally. And yeah.
So when did you start your YouTube channel?
Well, actually started, that was probably that YouTube channel has existed for a long time. I don't know when it was actually started. DJ wise, I believe I started posting DJ content about 2015.
Gotcha.
And
what made you start it? Anything in particular?
Yeah, so how I learned how to become a DJ was mostly based around watching YouTube videos, and Brian on YouTube was a very big influence for me, and I liked the fact that he was giving back to the DJ community with all his tips and that. And after I had probably about 3-4 years of DJing experience, I wanted to do the same, except put it more towards beginners, coming from the beginner background on what I've developed and tips and trips and what all I've learned over the years.
Very cool. DJ Barr, what about you?
So I started basically in nightclubs. That was my goal. I wanted to DJ nightclubs. I had no interest in YouTube or even mobile DJing as a whole. And then things started to get a bit slow in the nightclub world. I was having trouble getting bookings. And at one point I felt like I was just begging promoters for bookings. And I was like, man, I don't need this. So it was around that time that I started watching this guy named Casey Neistat on YouTube, and I was like, man, this guy's freaking awesome. I want to do what he's doing. So I set out to create a YouTube channel that was meant to be about my life. It was never designed to be a DJ channel. And I just said, hey, I'm going to film my life. And then it just so happened that a lot of my life was DJing. So I started filming a lot of the DJ content, and then people started gravitating to that the most. That would be like the videos that got most views. So I was like, okay, let me try another DJ video. Let me try another DJ video. And eventually it just started opening doors. I had companies knocking at my door. Hey, come work for me. Come do gigs for me. And it was funny because I started YouTube because I wanted to quit DJing. I said, oh man, I'm going to quit, and I'm gonna, do YouTube full time. But ironically, I started doing YouTube, and it brought me back to DJ. And now I'm just trying to find a happy medium between the two. But honestly, my passion is right now YouTube. YouTube is YouTube is the end goal.
Very cool. So for me, my YouTube YouTube channel started right when ADJ released the MyDMX3 software. I was having trouble with the previous version, the MyDMX 2.1, and I was in contact with their support team for a while. We were trying to get it fixed with the buddy, and they were like, hey, we have a new version, 3.0. It's actually being released in like 2 days, but we wanted to send it over to you in kind of like a beta version. We think it'll solve kind of some of your issues and whatever. So they sent it to me. It was really just a solution to the previous one. It had nothing to do with YouTube or anything like that. And trying to learn it was like impossible. I was like, I had no clue what I was doing. It was a totally different interface for those of you who use MyDMX3 and have used the previous one. It changed a lot. So the first thing I did naturally was went to YouTube and Google and searched it. I searched MyDMX3 tutorials and stuff like that, and nothing came out because it wasn't even released yet. So that kind of clicked in my brain, and I was like, maybe I'll, push myself to learn it and then make a video on it. So I did that. I learned it. I created kind of like a overview video, released it to YouTube, and I think mainly because it was the only video up there when the software was actually released, people started searching MyDMX3, and that's what came up. And that video ended up with something like 31,000 views or something like that. It's like my most viewed video. And that kind of sparked me to continue creating more video tutorials. So for a while, it was really just MyDMX3 and a few other software tutorials, because I wanted to help people for the videos that weren't out there, and for the products that weren't out there and stuff like that. And then from there, like Barr said, it kind of grew. Companies started reaching out, and so that's where my channel is.
Cool.
Nice.
So let's see. What would you guys say is the most unique part about your channel? You try to do anything different, or?
I would say for me is a lot of it is personal. I still don't technically consider my channel a DJ channel. People probably laugh when I say that, but I feel like the channel is more about me because literally the channel follows me in my so-called adventures, if you will. Mine is based on a story. It's my art pretty much. That's what I try to base it on. Every video is a vlog. It's what's happening in my day, and I'm just sharing. I'm bringing the audience along. My channel, as much as people want to say that it's like, it's a learning channel, but my channel is not designed to teach. My channel is designed for entertainment. If you learn something for it, good, but I'm not going out here to teach anybody how to do something. And a lot of people have that misconception that I'm setting out to teach. Every now and then I'll share tips and tricks or how I do something, but none of the stuff that I do is written in stone. I feel like my channel is a story, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say my channel is kind of the opposite of Barr's. I try to focus more on tips and knowledge that I've learned over from talking to audio engineers and stuff like that over the years, and what works, what doesn't work, setups, marketing. Gig logs just follow into it, that everyone wants to watch the gig logs and stuff like that. But I really spend a lot of time more on tips, tricks, and not really complicated edits on my YouTube channel. A little bit different, than pretty much opposite of Barr, but we have similar content, similar followers.
Yeah, a lot of it falls under like that umbrella, like a DJ channel. I feel like it's like a modern DJ channel. It's like it's hard to explain, but I can honestly say that I'm not setting out to teach anybody. And I often get like a lot of like trolls on my channel. They're like, "Oh, that's not how I do it." I'm like, I don't care. I'm not here to teach you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And you could critique me, but again, you can't tell me it's wrong because that's not my goal. I'm not here to, this is not a step tutorial to teach you how to do this. And it's opened a lot of avenues. Like lately, what I've been getting into is actually interviewing. I've been getting into meeting influential DJs and actually sitting down with them and talking with them off the cuff, just hanging out kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm the opposite of Barr too. I'm with DJ Rick Webb on that. My channel was more tutorials, like I said, mainly because it started that way. And it was more of a software and kind of a technical tutorial channel for those that have, you know, a specific question on how do I update my DMX3. They search it in the YouTube search bar, and you know, my video would be the one that would come up to help them and kind of walk them through all those steps. I've done like 2 gig logs, I think, on my channel, and they turned out to be like way more views than my tutorial videos. But for me, I just don't get as much fun or enjoyment out of a gig log as I do, I guess, tutorial videos.
Yeah. And the gig logs always do get more views. They always do. And the product reviews, for some reason, product spotlights, as Barr does.
Yeah, product spotlights. I think that's the most. I think that's the best part. I mean, I love doing product spotlights because you know, you get to play with equipment, and the crowd just loves it. And personally, in my channel, the product spotlights do way better than the gig logs, because the gig logs are there in the moment, so people will love it for a week, but then that's it. People don't want to go back and watch a 5-year-old gig log, so those videos kind of die. Whereas in a product light, it's like a guy who's just starting out might need to, you know, see a review on some pars that are like, you know, 5-6 years old. So those videos will, you know, their lifespan, if you will be way longer. So I personally have become a fan of doing product reviews. That's actually one of the things I love to do. And I don't get me wrong, I love doing the gig logs, and people love the gig logs. That's everybody's favorite thing, because I think everybody's living vicariously through each other. Everyone wants to see what everybody else is doing. But again, it's like in the moment, and people want to see it right now. As soon as it happens, it's like, you know, 1 year from now, I know they're not going to care about that particular gig log.
Yeah, I noticed that with both your channels. Every time you post a gig log and I click on them, it's within a few hours you get a few thousand views, and then you go back and check it in a month, and it's, I mean, the numbers,
it's stagnant.
Almost the same.
Yeah.
Almost the same. But I found even with like the product reviews and the tutorials, it's a lot of it is based on the title and what words you put in the title and how you name it. If you make, especially if it's like a technical tutorial, if you make it the question that someone's going to search, you'll get a lot more views than if you name it, you know, my DMX3 updates, versus if you say, how do I update my DMX3 kind of thing.
Yeah. It's all about them AdWords, them ad triggers.
Yep. So by the way, for everyone watching, if you guys have any questions for any of us, you guys can leave it in the comments section, or if you're in the video with us, like John said, you guys can raise your hand or get our attention, and then you guys can unmute yourselves and ask the questions. I know Dave just said in the chat room, he said Barr does a lot of travel vlogs, which are really cool. And then he also said, hey Barr, don't forget to wear your gloves when you load and unload to save your hands.
Yeah, Rick sent so much spam over to my channel. Everybody was like, you need to wear gloves.
How much spam did you end up getting out of that? I was actually curious.
I think I got like good 10 comments out of it.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, so people were like, oh, you got to wear gloves. You got to wear gloves.
It hurt. That video is actually an older video that just finally got published. I'm behind on gig logs, but videos in general. But yeah, back when I made that, I was like getting mad watching like 2 of your gig logs where you're like, it's so cold and like your hands were like frostbite and stuff.
Dude, it was so cold. The first 2 gigs I did this year were freezing. It was like unbearable. We were dying, man. It was awful. It was horrible.
Yeah, Rick was just mentioning how you're behind on videos. I know I have a few behind too, and I know when I met with Barr, like, what was that, a week ago?
Yes.
Barr said the same thing. So I think we're all kind of behind on videos, both products and stuff that we have lined up that we got to make and edit, and gig logs too. That's why I can't even there's no way for me to do gig logs on every gig I do. It's just not enough time in the day.
Yeah, well, we all have other stuff we're doing other than
right,
DJ related stuff, and
exactly, school and
business and
everything.
School.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so hard. I try to crank out at least 2 videos a week, but it's like there's just not enough time in a day. I feel like my days are constantly booked up. Like, I never have any downtime anymore. I love it and I hate it. But yeah, I'm always behind. I always feel bad for the company. Sometimes companies send me stuff and it'll sit in my house for like a month. And sometimes I just don't want to feel spammy where I'm just posting product spotlights, and it's just like, oh, I gotta edit a gig log, and then I'm like, damn, now I have to do like, you know, another product video. So I don't want to become a banner. So I still want to provide content. I don't want to just, you know, do constant product videos. And it's just trying to find that balance that's sometimes hard.
Right.
Yeah. And I got about a list of 20 to 25 videos that people have asked me to do as well. But like, can you show me this? Can you explain this? I just keep them all in a nice little list on my phone, and it's getting big.
You guys do it off the cuff, or do you guys write down what you guys are going to say? Because I've been doing it off the cuff, but man, it kind of sucks. I kind of want to start writing a script.
I don't necessarily write a script for like a lot of the tutorial videos and stuff that I do. I just like put bullets and outlines of what I want to talk about. But the problem is I like to ramble a lot. And then trying to edit that is hard as heck.
Yeah, I don't do any scripts really. If it's a product spotlight or a product review, I'll normally have one of my other computers open to the product page on whatever their website is, just so I could read specs. And I'll you know, whatever the zoom is 55 or it's a hex, whatever 10-watt LEDs kind of thing. So I'll usually have that open and I'll refer to that, and then I'll come back to the video and do a take. But I ramble a lot too in my videos. I mean, the stuff that gets cut out is ridiculous. And then
if my audience knew how long the videos were, cut them down to, because like I'll shoot for like 2 hours for like a 15-minute video. It's nuts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you got to edit that 2 hours, which takes,
ironically,
takes 4 hours.
I don't really get too many complaints because my videos are super jump cutty. Like I'll be like, I'll be like all over the place, and I kind of like that style that I've developed by editing out all like the rambling that I do. It's kind of like become my thing, like jumping all over the place. But it
keeps it very fast paced and keeps you on your toes.
Some people don't like that, but I don't know. I like that I'm jumping all around the frame. It's kind of funny when I'm watching it back.
I honestly don't notice it. Just reminds me a lot of Casey. That's how he is.
Yeah. I actually stole that from the Logan Paul guys, Jake and Logan Paul.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I stole that because before my videos used to be a lot calmer. And then I started watching those guys, and I'm like, holy shit, I can really speed my videos up doing that. So I just started, like, if I take a little deep breath or something, I'm like, okay, edit that out, edit any uhs out, any like, like if you look at my timeline, it's like cut. It's insane.
Interesting.
With gig logs, I've always been meaning to ask because, like I said, I don't usually find myself to have time to film the gigs. Is that something you guys kind of had to like teach yourself to put aside time to film at each gig, or is that just something that, I mean, do you get there early to film a time lapse of you setting up and stuff like that? I'm worried that if I started doing that at gigs, I'd be behind. And I mean, I know alone I'd rather get footage at some of the gigs that I've done, and I just haven't gotten a chance to.
Yeah, Barr can probably also speak to this, but I normally put aside a couple extra hours at the beginning of the gig, extra for setup. A setup's going to take me about an hour, but normally I come with 4 hours to set up or 3 hours to set up. That way I have plenty of time to film what I need to do, walk through, shoot. And you also got to think there might be other people in the room. There might be other people that want you filming, so you might not have an open spot to actually film. I struggle a lot with the club night gig logs I've been doing over there. I'm only given a window about an hour and a half to set up for that, and there's also music in the bar playing constantly, and it's just almost impossible to make a setup video. So
yeah.
For me with that, it's really like become second nature to me because I don't post every gig that I do because I ask my clients if they let me record.
Gotcha.
And I work for some companies that just say, no, you can't film any of our gigs. So I do a lot of gigs that I'm not allowed to actually release to my audience, which kind of bums me out sometimes. But it's become second nature to me. Because I got used to vlogging my day, my life. So I'm not even thinking about it. I feel like it's just, before I used to have to think about what I was going to say, but now I'm just going through my day. I'm piece it out in my head. I used to, put aside extra time to film, but now, I mean, I really just set the camera up, and I don't really see it as taking away time from what I'm actually doing. It honestly does not interfere with my actual DJ process, because really, I think about it, I'm only shooting a setup time lapse, but I mean, how long does it take to set up a camera? I mean, I'm just pressing record on the camera. If it stops recording at some time in mid time lapse, and it stops recording, and then I'll just talk about the equipment, and that's pretty much it. I'll say it's time to suit up, and that just means it's time to start. And then I put the camera right next to me and just press record, and then after that, I forget about it. I don't really go back and like frame my shot. Sometimes maybe during dinner I'll take like a quick peek at it, but I just let the camera hang out. So it's become like second nature to me. I don't even think about it. I don't really have to set extra time aside. Lately, I have been setting apart, like when I do have to take extra time, is usually because I want to do like a particular spot. Like sometimes I'll have a new light, and I'm like, okay, I need to get footage of this light in action. So then that does take a little bit of time, but you have to add yourself, like an extra hour or so. I remember with the focus spots, I wanted to do a spot of me actually using them at a gig, but I wanted to film every single gobo, and that took up so long. So I showed up 2 hours in advance, and I just finished on time. I got all the colors, all the gobos, and that sometimes is a little bit of pressure, but I feel like most people aren't going to be, necessarily making a product video whilst they're making a gig log. So it really, the more you do it, I would just say film, and it'll just become second nature to me. Like I carry my camera everywhere. I never know what's going to happen, so I carry it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you ask your clients too. I was thinking about that when you first started talking about it. Is that something? Do you share the videos with your clients? Is that something that ever?
I don't say I don't want to scare my clients, because the audience is getting like a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. Luckily, the audience is pretty nice, though. I usually, like, most of the hate that I get are usually on myself. I've never had a comment that bashes any one of my clients or any one of the guests. So I've been very blessed in that. I've been very happy in that. So I don't think any client has anything to worry about as far as that. But I don't necessarily tell them that I'm like a quote-unquote influencer on YouTube, because that might scare them. It's like, you're telling me 10,000 people are going to watch this? Right. That might freak somebody out. So I in my contract, it says you'll let me record and you'll let me use it for promotional purposes to be shared on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Ironically, now I'm booking gigs because of YouTube, so people are finding me on YouTube, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit. I'm like, oh, I don't want you see making, because sometimes I crack jokes on myself, and I like try to be all bubbly, and I'm like, oh, I like cringe when like they say, oh, I found you on YouTube. I'm like, oh, really?
What all did you see on YouTube?
Which video?
Why are you still talking to me then? What's it called? Yeah, that's interesting. I thought about that, and I know in some of your older videos too, you used to rate your gigs too, right? With like your face or something, you used to give it like 3 DJ bar faces. Yeah, that's always worried me too. Have you ever been worried that one of those clients, maybe who you gave 3 or 4 stars, would find your video?
So it worries me because what worries me is the actual comments in that, and that's actually why I cut back on doing that. Is because I rate my overall experience. Like, for example, I did some parties that were friggin' awesome, but I would be like, oh, 4 cartoon DJ bars out of 5. I wouldn't explain to it, but some of it was like, this wasn't actually my gig, so I made like 0 money off this. This was a subcontractor gig. So I would be rating my personal experience at the gig. Like if you were just to ask me how good a gig was, a lot of these gigs would be getting like 5 stars because some of them are really good. But I'm basing my experience, my general experience, basically. I'm just like, did it make sense for me? Like, did I make money off of it? Did I have fun DJing? Was it a good crowd? Sometimes it's a good crowd, but it's just not the music that you like. And it's just, that was my basis off that. That was always my basis off that. Like, we would just joke. Like, I would go to Six Flags and I would rate like a ride or something like that. Like, oh, I really didn't like that. But it's just, it was like my overall experience. And that was like the whole premise behind that. And then people started taking it like, oh, you're rating these people's wedding? And then that's why I cut back. I'm like, oh, these guys don't get it. And it's hard for me to explain, to pass that on. So it's just like, let me just cut it back. So little by little, I've been dialing it back.
Yeah, I can say the same. I have a few gig logs back in the original ones where I made some strong comments on the crowds and stuff on like what I liked and what I didn't like as in requests and like being up in my face and stuff like that. And I've cut back a lot from that too as well. And also I am the same as Barr. I do have that in my contract that states that you're allowing me to film and stuff like that. Schools are another thing because you got to make sure the school has permissional rights on the kids allowing their faces and stuff to be used out on social media and stuff like that. But a lot of the schools in my area already have that set up where they've signed release forms and stuff like that, and the school approves of it.
Gotcha. Now, Greg posted in the chat, he said, Barr, I now want a Canon G7 camera, thanks to you. And then he said, then I saw Brandon talked about his the other day, and DJ Rick Webb said, G7 is the best. So I actually just got a Canon G7X II Mark II the other day. Mine's chilling behind me too. So you guys want to talk about some of the equipment I guess we use to film our videos a little bit?
Sure. I mean,
it looks like we all kind of use the same camera.
I need to get a new one. My screen's cracked.
Yeah, so I actually discovered the original G7X through Casey Neistat. He was like, oh, this is the camera I use.
Same.
When I first started on YouTube, I was like, anything that Casey would say was like law in my world. So he said, G7X, okay, I'm going with this G7X. He says 70D, I got a 70D. And then after that, I started exploring it and figuring out what works for me. Like, for example, the 70D is a great camera, but it doesn't work for what I do because I can't sit there messing with settings. And that's a great camera. Like, any DSLR camera is great, but they're only as good as the settings that you apply. And when you're doing what we're doing, you can't sit behind the camera adjusting settings. You need to be off the cuff. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it works. Like sometimes when I go to these shows, like let's say, for example, DJ Expo or NAMM, people see me with my little baby G7X and they kind of look like, oh, what is this little kid doing with this camera or something like that. So they kind of don't respect it. And then like, I'm like, come on, dude, people are going to see this video more than, some heavily produced video. So it's just, it's really content is king. And it doesn't matter the equipment. Content is king.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of beginners will hit me up saying they need a G7X or it's $800, whatever. No, just use your iPhone. Your iPhone camera is amazing. But I will say the one reason why I like the G7X is the low light performance is exceptional. And our gigs being DJs is always low light, dark scenarios. So the G7X is king for that reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, for what we do, I would say that's definitely the best DJ-related camera because it takes good pictures and it's good in low light.
Yeah, I've noticed it's very easy to use and set up for no matter what I'm doing with it.
Yeah,
I can just turn it on and shoot a video, and I know it's going to look great. I don't really have to worry about.
Yeah, honestly, the auto on that is way better than my DSLR camera auto. The DSLR camera audio freaking sucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the audio is great on it. I used to always film my videos with an external mic interface and computer, and it was just getting to be too much. So when I tried the G7X out the first time I got it and I heard the audio, I do bass boost a little bit in the Final Cut EQ. I don't know if you guys mess with the audio a little bit, but
I try.
I found the trick with the G7X is that you have to speak loud. So a lot of people will tell me I'm screaming in my videos, but the reason is because I've dealt with the camera a lot. I kind of know what works. And what happens is if you speak too low, you'll get hiss. And if you want to eliminate that, you have to speak up louder because the camera is trying to amplify you and it's amplifying every ambient noise in the room. So if you're speaking regular volume, the camera is bumping everything up, and then you have like, shh, hey, shh, guys, what are you doing? So if you go, hey guys, how you doing? The camera is not compressing it. The camera is like, oh wow, I can hear everything. So as long as you're speaking nice and loud, the camera is not going to try to hiss on you.
Now,
that's one of the tricks that I picked up.
My biggest problem is it picks up too much. As in when I'm at my bigger high school events, and that all you hear is bass. Because I have really loud bass.
You're using the older G7X though, right?
Yeah, I'm using the original.
Yeah, that's the problem. The compression, I had the same issue with that one. It's the audio compression is not very good. So if it's too loud, it'll just distort your audio.
Really?
Yeah, G7X2 fixed that. The audio is way better, so I don't have that issue. I used to have the exact same issue you're having, where it's like,
It just be, yeah, when the subwoofer hits and it's just all bait, it's just all hiss and shit.
yeah, it's the compression, the audio compression on that. You need to get the G7X2. Got to post that on eBay, man.
Well, I mean, I might have to because one of the last high school gigs I did, some kid knocked off the tripod and the bottom of my screen's all cracked and stuff.
Dude, if
so
people knew how many cameras I go through, they would laugh. I literally have them on rotation. So one is always at repair, and then the other one is always with me. So I go through these like Tic Tac. You know, they're a great camera, but they break so easy. So you got to get like 4 or 5 of these bad boys.
Hey, you could be like Casey and go through like 20. Was it the 7Ds? You could go through the $1,000 ones.
And one day I broke 3 of those bad boys, and one day, and I wish I would have filmed them. Every now and then I'll show me breaking them, but I don't actually go into detail. But I break those things a lot.
You have like slippery hands, man. I've had this exact same one for 3 years now.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. They last me about 3 months, maybe.
I know when I first reached out to Barr about what camera to use, he was like, get the G7X Mark II. He's like, make sure you get some kind of coverage on it, some kind of protection from Best Buy or Amazon. I was like, why is that? He's like, they break easy. I was like, well, how do they break? He's like, when you drop them.
Yo, you guys don't drop it.
Just don't drop it.
I have yet to drop it, but I've only had it for a few weeks, so we'll see.
Oh, no, I drop mine like, I drop mine on like a regular basis. Especially
What do you guys transport it in? Do you just put it in your pocket, or do you have a case for it?
I have my little man purse, Linda likes to call it. She calls it my man purse because I never leave my house with it. It's like this little purse that goes here on my side, and it holds it. Oh, you got a camera bag?
Yeah.
You guys never heard of a camera strap?
Oh, I don't like camera straps. I don't like
I took it off mine.
Versus losing a camera, I'd wear a camera strap.
Well, I got
this little the camera old school holster right here. I call it my little man purse, and I strap it right here on my side. Boom, and then anytime I need to whip it out, I'm like.
I picked up one of those when I bought the camera, but I was thinking about getting a small like Pelican case for the camera and maybe a small like Joby tripod and a few other things just to throw it in the back of the van with everything else.
No, man. When in doubt, whip it out. You need to have easy access, man. Whip it out. As soon as something happens.
I have a full camera duffel bag that I bring that has my tripods, my GoPro attachments, my GoPro stuff. And then this is the padded case that goes inside that has the G7 and the actual GoPro itself. And all my memory cards and batteries are still stored in there. But most of the time, like Barr said, I am walking around with the G7X with the Joby tripod on it. I just have it with me. Yeah. A lot of times I'll actually take the Joby tripod, just one bit of it, and put it through my my belt loop, and so it's on my side.
Yeah, this little holster thing comes in handy, man. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So Howie was asking in the group, he said, would you each share what editing software you use, please? So sure. I personally use Final Cut Pro X, which I think is probably what you guys use too.
Nope.
No? So yeah, that's what I use, and then I use Photoshop.
Wait, Rick, what do you use?
Thumbnails.
You use some different software.
I'm on Windows, and I have always been about efficiency and getting done quickly. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, my original gig logs that you watch were done in Windows Movie Maker. but my newer stuff is done in Cyberlink's Power Director 14. And it's a pretty cheap software. It's only like $50, and it works on Windows. It's great. It does a lot of good editing. I can overlay clips. It's very simple. I would say it's very similar to Movie Maker, or not, what is it, iMovie. It's very similar to capabilities of iMovie and what it can do. It's not as complex as what Final Cut can get, but it does the job for me, and I could get everything done.
I use Final Cut Pro. That's my go-to.
Yeah, I started with iMovie for a while, and then I got Final Cut just because I was looking for a few additional features. And when Final Cut Pro X came out, I love the look and the layout of that, so I switched over to that. But what do you guys use for like your thumbnails and stuff? I know I use Photoshop, but
I use Photoshop, and I used to actually be a graphic designer, but I hated it so much that I gave it up. and now I just make like designs and stuff for myself and stuff. But
James is gonna unmute himself soon.
James is gonna hate me. I use a combination of majority of my thumbnails you see are literally I took a screenshot of somewhere in the video, or I took a picture and I opened it up in Paint and I put my Arial text over it, and that's all I do. Sometimes if I want to make a little more complicated one, I open up Pixlr.com. If you guys have heard of it before. It's basically a simple version of Adobe Photoshop online for free. I really should buy Photoshop, though, for what I've been getting into. But
another good one is Canva online. I don't know if you've heard of that. Canva is great. I see Dave shaking his head. He uses that, I guess. But that one's great. I'll use that for even some photo booth stuff or simple like photo booth logos and stuff like that. And every once in a while I'll make a thumbnail in there too, but I prefer Photoshop for capabilities and stuff like that because I can, take a picture of me and crop me out of it and put a glow around it and stuff like that. And it's just an easier workflow for me. But
yeah, it's sad because I have access to all those softwares. I could go use Final Cut if I wanted to at our library right now, but I'm lazy. So
yeah, so Final Cut I actually purchased, which was like whatever it was, $300 or something ridiculous like that, which is a little overpriced in my opinion, but that's Apple for you. But Photoshop I pay monthly for. I don't know if you own it, Barr, or if you pay for it, but I pay. You're muted.
Mike's muted.
But yeah, I pay like the $25 a month and I get the full Adobe suite, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I have the really old version of Photoshop. I just never updated. I'm not even on the Adobe Creative Cloud.
Gotcha.
So nice. I just have the old version of Photoshop. I just can't ever upgrade. But I honestly, I hated graphic design. It was so tedious. And I would hate when I would spend hours on a design and then the client goes, no, I don't like it. Go back and remake it. I'm like, man, screw you.
Did you ever do Fiverr? Like, we're a Fiverr creator or anything?
No, I got to a point where I had so much business, I was miserable. It was like homework because I had to work my 9-to-5 job, and then I would come home and I had homework, and everybody would be like, "Where's my design? Where's my design?" I'm like,
well, now you got YouTube.
Well, that's when I stopped. When I started my YouTube thing, I was still trying to balance that, and I was like, man, I'm tired. I'm just gonna tell them I don't want to do this anymore.
So, what else can we talk about? More on gear that we use?
Yeah, I was just scrolling through our messages and I saw the one about equipment. We could start that. I think we have probably about 10 or 15 minutes left. So we could start talking about equipment. I think an interesting one that people might like is what our favorite piece of equipment is, or what equipment maybe we look to upgrade the most, or what's most important to us, which I think is going to vary for the three of us. So that'll make it interesting.
Yeah. You want to take it? Well, my favorite is just a regular old-fashioned par can. ADJ Mega Tri Profiles is, I want to say, my favorite light ever. If I could go back and tell myself what light to buy, I would have just told myself to buy the 4-pack of that, because I went through so many different lights, and I just ended up selling them and losing money on them because I realized I hated a lot of things in light. Like I hated little dots. I hated lasers. So I didn't get into I hated the lasers. And then I discovered just wash. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Just color the room. So I fell in love with the Mega Tri Profile Pluses, and then I upgraded to some Mega 64. So I would just say pars are my favorite. I love moving heads, but I'm not that good at programming them. And anytime a new one comes out, I'm like, oh man, I want to get. It's like they're always coming out with new ones, new lights, and it's like, oh, that one has a bigger light bulb. It's like, ah, but you can't. Nothing beats a regular par. I would say par. Go with pars all day.
I agree with that. Yeah, for me, pars are definitely my favorite, but I'll take it one step further. My favorite are battery-powered pars. So like the Freedom pars or the ADJ Element pars. I sold all my wired pars, and I got all wireless, battery-powered, wireless DMX ones. I've got my lighting controller case, which has the Wi-Fi for the ADJ ones and the Chauvet Flarecon in it. So I pop that up, plug in the back, and my whole light show is wireless. So that's definitely my favorite thing. I mean, especially for the front boards and stuff, I would never go back to wired now that I've had the ease of use of having wireless and battery-powered ones.
Okay, well, I'm going to be different than all of you because my favorite is speakers. I love my speakers more than anything. I I literally don't care about my lights that much at all. Like I bought them once and I've had them and I just use them. Lighting doesn't get me excited. New lights come out and I'm like, oh, well, it has one little tiny more feature than the last one. Woohoo. But my speakers are my favorite. I get so excited when they announce new speaker lines and stuff like that. Favorite speaker right now is got to be the SRX 815Ps. Those things are awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm more of an audio geek than anything else, so I enjoy speakers, drive racks, and that stuff.
Yeah,
I think James is trying to tell us something. I think he's trying to tell us his favorite piece.
He's playing with his controller, and he's got 2 cameras now, so that's what you're seeing as the second camera.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, this is all new to me. When I started my YouTube channel is when I started learning about mobile DJ stuff. And a lot of people didn't understand that in my first couple of gig logs. Like, dude, this is like my 5th mobile gig. I'm not used to this. This is my first time setting all this stuff up. And ironically, a lot of the critiques that came in is really what helped me advance pretty quickly. I'm like, okay, so they're saying this isn't right. They're saying this isn't right. Let me adjust. So that's how I've been able to adjust my setup and basically come into my own. But this is all new to me. I would say last year was my first year that I was a full-time mobile DJ. And the year before that, I was still doing bars, clubs, and, at the occasional mobile gig. And then this year is the first year that I'm actually seeking bookings. I'm not sitting back and waiting for them to come. This is the first year I'm actually doing some marketing. I just launched a website and things like that. So this is the first year that I'm actually advertising. So this is my first actual year as a full-blown company mobile DJ. So this is all fairly new to me.
I found that so interesting, Barr, when you came up with that you never knew about the whole mobile DJ scene, just because I come from a small town where we don't have clubs, we don't have bars. All we have are mobile DJs. And the mobile DJs are the bar gigs because the bars don't have speakers and stuff like that. So
yeah, man, I was in my own little world. I was like, man, these guys got to go buy equipment. I just show up with my laptop and I plug in and good to go. I was like, what is this? You got to bring equipment. And I had no idea that there were these massive companies doing so many gigs. This is all new to me. And when I found these companies doing 500-600 events a year, I was like, what? You can make that kind of money doing mobile DJ stuff? I thought that was that kind of money. I thought that money was reserved for Calvin Harris, Tiesto, and those guys. I was like, nah, little wedding DJs not making that kind of money. But I was proven wrong. It really shut me up. Yeah.
interesting.
So what is your most important piece of equipment in your eyes? Not functionality-wise, because obviously if your controller is your most important, it wouldn't function without your laptop. But if everything worked on its own, what do you find the need to kind of upgrade the most or keep up to date and make sure you've got, the newest and the best?
My music library.
I was just going to say that I got to have the newest and the best music.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
The best remixes, the best redrums, all that.
Yeah, it's equipment. Honestly,
I guess it's not equipment though.
Yeah, honestly, you don't need to be really upgrading your equipment all that often. I mean, I fall into it where I'm a sucker. Companies love me because something new comes out, I want to buy it. I'm such a sucker for that. Like Apple just came out with this. I got a new phone 6 months ago, and then they came out with the iPhone 10. I'm like, I gotta have it because I gotta have the latest and greatest Apple stuff. I'm a sucker. Companies love me. They love my kind of people.
For me, it's my computer. It's my computer, my technology. I mean, I want to make sure I just upgraded the hard drives to SSDs in both my Macs. I've got the new Surface, the iPads. They're all iPad Pros now. I'm always up to date on that kind of stuff because that's the last thing I want is to have an issue at a gig and it be because of the computer.
Yeah, mine should be that 100%, but I've been slacking. My laptop is 5 years old that I DJ with, and it needs upgraded bad.
Yeah, my laptop that I DJ with is almost going on 10 years. I got to upgrade it bad. And ironically, I bought a new laptop for editing videos, but I refuse to use it for DJing. It's bittersweet because my focus is YouTube.
I literally did the same thing, but except I bought mine for school. I bought my like nice laptop that I actually edit on too because it has a better processor and everything. So, but that's my school laptop.
I'm roller coasting right now. I upgrade, I downgrade, I upgrade. I see stuff I want, but as you get older, you can't set it all up, so you're realizing you need to back off again. But if I was you guys, I would be investing in my future, because the more you put into it right now, the more you're going to get out of it as you get older. It's worth it.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
really is. Sacrificing right now, not running around dating and partying will pay off. Just say it.
Yeah. I wish I could upgrade a lot more, but yeah, it's so expensive, especially when you like nice things.
And as soon as you upgrade, there will be a new one out the next week too. So
Yeah,
That's why I like speakers, because normally there is you gotta wait a couple years before they get a new one, so you get the satisfaction of like a speaker for a while. Lights, there's a new one in every day.
Yeah, man. I told this to the ADJ guys. I'm like, man, I can't keep up with you guys. You guys are like releasing new stuff every week. It feels like every time they do a Facebook Live, I'm like, I didn't know you guys had that. It's crazy. They're always innovating. It's awesome, but it makes me want everything.
Hey guys, just remember you can't get everything out there. Just take your time, get one piece, pay it off with gigs, man, and go get something else. Because if you try to keep up with the Joneses, you never will. Especially the way technology grasps nowadays. You know that.
Yep.
That's what.
You know what I'm worried about?
But
I'm worried about all my Apple products that are pre-2012. All right. Because it's weird. I mainly edit on a G5 tower that has its dual quad core. So I got 24 gigs of processor, 32 gigs of RAM, but this computer, the highest I can go is 10.9.5. It just sucks. There's nothing wrong with the computer. It jams, it's fast, it's everything, but in another couple of years, thing ain't gonna work.
That's right. Jimmy, it still works. Works.
But there won't be software that'll work with it.
Yeah, they stopped supporting it.
Yeah.
Overall, because of the age.
And, to me, that's BS.
My MacBook Pro broke last year. And I took it to Apple, and they're like, oh, you're lucky it broke this year because next year we're just going to tell you to buy a new one. I was like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, we stopped supporting them after 5 years or so.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
And you got Apple Care, and they told you that, or do you have Apple Care too?
No, well, my computer's old. I think it was going on 5 years, and I think after like it starts breaking after 5 years, they tell you just buy a new one because we're going to stop supporting it.
I got something replaced under Apple Care before. Hey, somebody was like, why do you get Apple Care for?
Apple's pretty good. Like if you're within that, like 3 years, even 4, they're pretty good about that. But once you get into like the older machines, they're just like, no, get a new one. We don't even want to deal with it.
Something like Jimmy's got over there. But you know what? It still works, Jimmy. But like you say, one day you're going to turn it on and it's not, you're not going to be able to do nothing on it.
The iMac that I'm on right now that I use a DJ, I'm using it right now to be on with you guys. And I actually have everything running. It's supposed to not run this version of Serato, but it runs it. So, I mean, it's a 2010 iMac. It still has the drive slot on the side and a little card reader. And it's perfectly fine. And supposedly, it's going to go bye-bye.
Speaking of running that version of Serato, did you guys upgrade to Serato DJ Pro?
Just download it. Literally before I left for class in senior design today, I downloaded it, and it's sitting on my right to the left is my SZ setup, and I want to go over there right now after this and play with it.
Yeah, I downloaded the software earlier today, and I love the practice mode. It's really cool.
I've never used it. Never used it.
Yeah, I wanted to upgrade But like I told you guys, my computer is really old, so now I'm like, I just don't want to touch it because I don't want to slow it down any more than it already is. So,
well, in theory, it should work better because it's a 64-bit program now instead of 32.
Really?
So it can access more RAM to run on. So
it's a lot smoother, especially if you have a large music library or you're reading off an external. It's a lot smoother and faster.
Absolutely.
Maybe I will upgrade then.
I did notice that because my load-in time was a lot faster when I booted it. I used to sit there and wait for like 3 minutes for my whole iTunes
That's
library.
the issue I have. So you're telling me if I get this, I'm gonna actually clock it. I'm gonna clock it to see how long it's before and then after I download it.
Yeah, you should try.
It's definitely going to be faster.
All right, John, what we got?
We have one quick question from Facebook. Somebody asked about, because you guys were talking music, and they were wondering about what kind of a monthly budget you have for music when you're buying new music. Because Rick mentioned he likes to have the new redrums and such. So how much are you guys investing when it comes to that?
I have $1. I have DMS right now, so Direct Music Services. And that has been my pool of choice over the past like 3 or 4 months I've been experimenting. And I think I pay right around $30. I pay for the yearly, so I get cheaper pricing because like the monthly price is $54, but I can get discounted price. And so I think it's like right around $30, but I also have to get iTunes downloads. So probably I would say about $50 a month. That's mine.
Yeah, I'm in 3 music pools, and I think they charge me 2 of them charge me every 3 months, and it's only $100, so it's not bad. I don't even notice it. They just take it out of my bank account. I'm like, oh man, thanks. I wish I would have got a heads up. They just randomly take $100 every 3 months, and then I have another one that I pay yearly, but I think it was only like $300 for the year. But honestly, I don't get that much out of it because before, when I first started, I used to download almost every single day, but now I'm more meticulous about what I download just because space is like so expensive now. It's like if you want one of the newer MacBook Pros with like a 1 terabyte hard drive, it's like super expensive. So now I'm a little bit more meticulous about what I download. Before I used to just let me have it all. I'm going to download every single song on this music pool. Now I actually have to preview it and stuff. So I don't really get my money's worth. I spend like $100 every 3 months, but maybe I download like I would say maybe 30 tracks a month. That pay about $1 a track, I would say.
Yeah, I don't really DJ personally too much. I'm usually hiring other DJs and I'm running the lights or doing the production end or percussion or emceeing, whatever it is. So to me, the music isn't the most important thing because I'm not using it every weekend. But I am subscribed to Promo Only, which is about $40 a month. I'm on like their Audio Gold or whatever their high end one is. And I just kind of, same thing with Barr, it takes it out every month. Don't even notice it. And I like Promo Only just because I can, at the end of the month, I'll download all the hits for that month, and then my library is kind of up to date. And then if I do DJ a party, I know I have the newest music, but I don't go after all the redrums and remixes and stuff like that. Any of those parties, I'm usually hiring another DJ for anyway. So
there's one big thing with the Promo Only. I did add Promo Only for 3 months, I think. And I didn't like it because it never was as up to date as what I needed to be. The high schools I do and the college parties I do, I need the hits that just came out yesterday. And
tomorrow.
Tomorrow, really. Like Post Malone just dropped a new song last week. I already have it downloaded and have redrums and remixes ready to go for Thursday when I'm playing at the club.
Right.
Because I need that turnaround time. And high schools and middle schools, they already know. And that weddings, you don't really need that. You just need to know the latest hits. Another thing to think about with my budget is I only get 80 downloads a month with that too. So, and my whole thing with DMS is though that they update literally every single day. There are new songs.
Yeah, it's hard to stay up to date with music. Honestly, I struggle with that myself too. It's impossible, especially with the Sweet 16s. I honestly do so much more prep for a Sweet 16 than I do a wedding. It's so hard. They find like these random rappers on like SoundCloud or like their home,
oh my God, don't even start.
their basement, and they're like, "What? You don't have this? You're out of touch." I'm like, "What?" just because I don't know who you go to high school with. It's insane. It's so hard. Sweet 16 are like the hardest.
And then the songs that they tell you they'll be only on one source, they'll be on like SoundCloud, and they're gonna be they're low quality too. So
horrible quality.
Yeah, so it might sound somewhat good in your headphones, but then when I put it on big speakers that are supposed to sound really, really good, it sounds like trash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like usually with those rappers, you don't have like somebody vetting them, like with like at least like DJ City or something like that. They'll clean up like the most mainstream ones. But like if you have like a SoundCloud rapper, you're not gonna have a clean one, and it's like you play that, and you're like, oh man, you're looking at the parents. Is it still cool? Is it still cool to play this? And it's just nuts with the lyrics, man.
I've had a few people at weddings recently actually come up with their phone and hold it over the front board and ask for a song, and like 2 out of the 3 were rap songs, and one was just like this weird song by the band Pink that was on like a single release that came out in like the 1800s and no one's ever heard of it. It was never a big hit. But we've had a lot of people come up to the booth now and request songs with the phone. I think it's kind of the new age kicking in, rather than having to scream over the music and not be heard right or play the wrong song. I think people just pull it up in their iTunes library and hold it up, and it'll be like Danza Kuduro, and it's like, yes, I have that song, I'll play it.
You were so right. I did a Sweet 16 this weekend, and they were coming up with their they have like the kids are all in touch with, what is it, Tidal, Spotify and Apple Music, and they were all bringing it in. They were just showing me a picture. It's got, they give me all the information, what year it was released. I'm like, damn, thanks. Yeah, I mean that's cool, but honestly, I'm the worst.
Thanks, but I still don't have it.
Yeah, I come from clubs, so I was spoiled when it came to requests. And when I started doing mobile gigs, I'm like, what do you mean I have to listen to what you have, like what I have to play? It was like some getting used to it. And even to this day, I kind of like, oh, don't tell me what to play. Just let me do my job. Mm-hmm. Something that still irks me to this day. I'm the worst with requests. I don't encourage my guests to give me requests, and that's one of the things that I hate about mobile DJing is having to be told what to play. I hate it. Clubs, I used to call a bouncer and like, get him out.
You don't
all right, guys, we got to wrap it up here.
All
right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, DJ Barr and DJ Rick Webb, for joining us. And thanks everyone for watching on YouTube. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up down below when you guys watch this video back. Good night.